Oh, yes, welcome to another episode of The Josh Potter Show. Thank you so much for joining us, all my little roaches coming out collecting in a swarm. Do roaches do swarms? What is a roach? Is it a school? I've learned that baby roaches are called nymphs, which I think is appropriate in a many a fashion. But yes, thank you for coming to another episode of The Josh Potter Show. I, of course, am Josh Potter. You can follow me on Instagram at Josh_Potter. You can follow me on Twitter at J_Potter. And there you'll find information about all the shows coming. And I've got some that I'm going to announce very soon. I'm excited about announcing these. If you live on the East Coast, the Northeast specifically, you should be getting excited as well. Now, things that are very much more pressing than those ones that aren't announced yet is the fact that I'm going to be in Washington, D.C. This week. This comes out on Tuesday. I will be there on Thursday, September 30th. Those tickets are for sale in those places I mentioned prior. And I'm also going to be coming back to Buffalo, New York, my hometown, the club I started in, Helium Comedy Club, for the weekend of Thanksgiving. And that is going to be November 26th, 27th, and 28th, I do believe. So, excuse me. Sorry, someone mentioned this last week too. I have to hydrate more before I come on to this podcast. I talk and I get very dry. I smoke a lot, obviously. And, I learned this from old broadcasters who smoked. They would be smoking on the air. And I was always wondering how they kept their pipes so pristine, And I remember there was a guy who would smoke all the time, but he kept honey in his drawer. And he would pop in like a shot of honey before he'd go on. And I was like, does that really work? And I tried it for a little while, and I thought I was like convincing myself it was working. Kind of the way that those old women who buy honey from preachers on television, they think it's working their aches and pains because they think it's Jesus honey. That's what I was thinking it was helping my voice. It really didn't do anything except make me want to vomit. I mean, it's really sugary. Taking just a gulp of honey, whoa. Good luck. Give it a try out there. See if it affects your voice. I don't know if there's any science behind that. I just saw a guy do it. And I'm debating in my head, should I start doing something like that? Someone got really upset for the ASMR purposes last week because I was having such a dry throat. But I did want to mention something else with Helium Comedy Club. 2 years ago, I was performing there, and it was the last time I was back home in Buffalo, as a matter of fact. And I posted this video up on my Instagram to promote shows last week in San Diego, and then also, of course, my shows in Washington, D.C., and in Buffalo, etc. And many people, I thought that I had shown this video before. I didn't expect the reaction to this video that I did get. And it was just resounding. I guess maybe I just have more followers since I posted it 2 years ago. I'm not sure. But I used this video to promote shows once before when it actually had just happened. But here's the scenario behind it before we play it. I was in town. I had just gotten back from Europe doing shows with Tom. This is November of 2019. Tom Segura, of course, took me to Europe to do shows. And we were going to do a run of the South, but I had about 5 days in between. So instead of going back to LA, I decided I'm going to go to Buffalo for a couple of days, and then I'm going to go see my friend in New York City. That's where I'll meet up with Tom again. We'll fly to Charlotte, blah, blah, blah. So I had gone to Buffalo without the intention of doing shows. Now, Tom was rolling through one night there. He was doing a leg up in upstate New York, but I had the 5 days off, and he was doing that leg. So he was coming through Buffalo, though, one of those evenings. And I had asked him, can I do Shays with you? Because it's just, it's my hometown theater. And I just wanted to do a quick set just to say I've performed at Shays. So he let me do that. But on the day of that, I get a phone call from Helium. Michael Ian Black is doing the weekend there. He got sick. And I don't know what Michael Ian Black, I don't know him at all personally or anything like that. I barely know his stand-up. I know, obviously, I'm a big fan of his sketch work, and I loved him on all the shows that you loved him on. And he does stand-up, obviously, here and there. And so I have never seen it, and I don't know what it's like. But I'm going to venture to guess that we do different things. Just putting that out there. And I don't know what happens to Michael Ian Black. Every time I've seen him do a weekend at Helium, it's like he gets sick that weekend. Like the first time he came to town, my buddy was middling, and he ended up having to like headline randomly because Michael Ian Black was sick. So Michael Ian Black gets sick when he comes to Buffalo, New York, evidently. Who doesn't, right? So on this occasion, they called me. They're like, Michael Ian Black's sick. Will you do the shows tonight? Will you headline the shows? And that was fun because, I mean, it's extra money, and now I'm headlining it, and I'm headlining a club night. But I still wanted to do Shays, so I did all 3 of them. I did 3 shows, and I had done Shays that evening. So I did 10 minutes, raced over to the club to do 2 shows, filling in for Michael Ian Black. Now, I had just done a whole bunch of shows with Tom, including one that evening. So I did the show with Tom, went well, had a lot of fun. Again, more people who understand what they're getting into. Now, this is like kind of a silly part. You know, this is something that you look back and you go, oh, Josh, you should have been more of a professional to realize this. But I'm coming off doing a bunch of Tom shows, which aren't my crowd necessarily, but I get their type of humor. Do you know what I'm saying? So here I am doing those shows, and people kind of know what they're getting into. Now, I do the one in the theater. Great. I'm riding a high. I go over to the club. I go up, and I'm really feeling myself. I do my set as I do it. I forget. This crowd doesn't know who I am. They're not here to see me. They're here to see Michael Ian Black do his whatever. I love the 80s. I don't know what he does. But I immediately realize that as my first joke just falls flat on its face. And so I'm like, you would think they go, oh, Josh, hey, you got to do some adjustments, you know? Go back into the locker room at halftime, make some gameplay adjustments, come back out and do it properly. No, I dug in. I'm not going to tell you because I don't want you to hear my act if you haven't come to see me. I would like you to come buy tickets so you can see what was going on here. But I do a joke that, people could get upset about, is my point. And this woman did, in fact, get upset. In fact, a whole group of people got upset. I have never been, not only just like not laughing at the joke, hissing at me as if I was like, back in the 1800s or something like that. They were like hissing and booing me because of the joke that they found to be offensive or what have you. So I dug in even more, and I actually started, this is something that I've worked on over the years, but if I get a little upset, say, triggered in my own right, I guess is really what it is, but I went hard on this lady. I started going like, oh, is it too much for you? Like bad. I just went in, and then I started turning it on myself, saying some wild shit. Well, here's what came of it. Basically people left there. Some people walked out. Some people were very upset. And she went over to the bar and complained to the manager, as Karens do. So let us, maybe I'll have to defend, people are asking me to defend this Karen. Let's see if I can defend the Karen that is against me. Let's hear it. And it'll give you a little bit of a synopsis here leading up to it. Little context for the video. But here she comes now.
I am alarmed at what he had to say.
If you are alarmed,
I'm taking the step to let you know I'm concerned about this man.
okay, again, that's a conversation you probably have with him.
Obviously, you don't get
your
it.
concern for another human being who's an adult has nothing to do with me.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying you need to investigate your responsibility for protecting others.
So she considered me a threat to people with my words. It's wild. I mean, I take it as a badge of honor. To give you a little more context, too, because someone turned that film on at some point after she was complaining, so you miss the lead up to it. She was a, quote, medical professional who was doing her duty. What do they call it, Kirsten, when a medical professional has to, like, report something? Like, Dr. Drew talks about it all the time. Like, if you tell Dr. Drew, like, I did this bad thing, like, he has to...
You're a mandatory reporter?
Yes. So she thought that she had to mandatory report me. And that's what she was doing to the club manager there, was mandatorily reporting me as a medical professional that she is concerned for other people's safety because of my words and because of the things I discussed. I mean, if that's not a reason to come check out a show, folks, I don't know what is. But, also I feel like it's all like I don't try to be shocking or I think calling yourself edgy is like the gayest shit I've ever heard. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty rough. It's so I hate anybody who identifies as that. They're like, I'm raw, I'm edgy. But this is a case where it was just, again, and it was 2 years ago, 2019, right before COVID struck. And, I'm going back to that club for the first. So this time, hopefully, it'll be the people that want to come see me, and poor Michael Ian Black audience members aren't subjected to that. I should have had a different mindset going in. I will acknowledge that. And to defend that, Karen, she expected to come in and see, isn't the 80s weird or whatever Michael Ian Black does. I don't want to disparage what it is, but it's not what I do. I guarantee. So this poor lady, I felt after a while, I go, oh yeah, you bought a ticket to see someone else completely. This wasn't what you were expecting and what you wanted to get into. By the way, thank you to Mr. Connor Fagan for the intro song there. That was pretty awesome there, a.k.a. Happy Feet with a PH. Check him out. And my boy Grass Kingdoms, who I ran into in Nashville last week, had a few beers with and a few bong rips with. He has made our news and sports intros for today, and I'm debating which one I want to get into first here. I think because the video is ready to go, let's just get right into the sports. Plus, we have so much more news to get into regarding things. I was impressed, by the way, with how long I discussed semen terrorism last week. I hope you were as well. I don't know. Many people were like, can you believe he talked about it for 37 minutes? And I was like, can you believe I talked about it for 37 minutes? I was like, proud of it. I don't know. I think you should be impressed, frankly. But let's do some sports, and we do have a couple of updates. We won't talk 37 minutes about semen terrorists, but there are some alarming emails. Thank you to Grass Kingdoms once again for that bad boy right there, Sports Remix. By the way, you can send in all your instrumentals, remixes, articles if you're a Roach reporter, and we have many tonight, many today, I should say, including Adam Boyer, a sports Roach reporter out there. We'll get to his in just a couple of moments. But you can send off all those things to joshpottershow@gmail.com. Pleased to be sending all of the things to that email. The first story we have up here in the sports is a coach that, many coaches are celebrated. Friday Night Lights is a show celebrating, the heart of a coach. And it's been long storied that coaches are the lifeblood of a team. And a good coach can make a bad team great, and a bad coach can make a great team terrible. This coach, I think, is one of a kind. His name is Bruce Barnum. And he is a coach in college for the Portland State football team. Now, this is like Division II shit right here. And they just had a game against Western Oregon. He had offered to buy the beers for fans who came out to see the Vikings take on Western Oregon at Hillsborough Stadium on Saturday. So he offered all the fans, I'll buy you a beer. Now, that is something that you hear that, and you don't expect it to be, you just think it's like kind of like a cliche thing for the guy to just, he's being folksy or whatever. This man really did it. And you would think like, holy hell. But it is Division II. This is a great way to try and get fans out there. Expensive for the coach, unfortunately, but a wonderful way to get fans to come out to what could very well be a fledgling football team. I don't know anything about PSU, Portland State football, but they did win that game. They beat the Western Oregon Wolves 21-7 in front of 3,124 fans. And Barnum tweeted a photo representing the final tab he had to pay for the fans' beer. What do you think? I mean, Kirsten, you read this. I can't play this game with you because you read the article. I'm like, what do you think it's going to be, Kirsten? But you already saw it, so I'm sure you already know the answer. But he tweeted out a receipt that showed the final breakdown at Barney's Beer Garden. 786. I don't know what this fucking beer is. Deutschettes. Do you know what this beer is? Deschutes?
I have no idea, and I'm actually allergic to beer, so I'm not the person to ask.
You're allergic to beer?
I am.
All of them? Or just like the hoppiest of hops?
Anything with gluten. So, I mean, I mainly stick with just like hard alcohol.
Oh, no. Well, yeah, you can do vodka and stuff, right?
Yeah.
See, I just mainly stick to the hard alcohol. The way you said that seemed like you're a pirate. Something wild. But so there was 786 of these IPAs, which are, I don't know shit about IPAs. I drink fucking Miller Lite like a savage. I do know this next beer, though. 1,260 Coors Lights. So that it comes out to 1,260 Coors Lights plus 786 of these Deschutes fresh squeezed IPAs. The tab came out to be $14,448. Wild. This coach, and he's coaching Division II college football. Can we do a Google on Division II college football salaries? I mean, maybe you can even figure out what this guy's salary is, because that is public knowledge. Can you type in Bruce Barnum, Portland State University salary? See if that even yields it. I'm going to guess he makes $60,000 a year. No, I don't know. Division II, they're still on ESPN and stuff once in a while. I'm going to guess maybe $80,000 a year. I don't know. What does it say?
So this one only shows from 2017, but it says that he made $195,000.
Oh, my God. Good for him. 6 figs. And that's not even low 6 figs. I mean, I guess it is. Everything in the 100s is probably considered low for some people. But he's making like almost as much as a dentist, you know? Let's compare it to some salaries. That's pretty great. So I guess maybe he can that $14,000 though is still a mighty, mighty thing. But he got a lot of press for his team, and they did get the W, 21-7. After picking up their first victory of the season, the Vikings this week turn their attention to their Big Sky Conference opener against the number 13 Montana State. Kickoff is set for 2:05. That already had happened, of course, by the time this show is released, which gets me thinking, especially because I make some platitudes on this show regarding football teams and players and such, and it's gotten me wondering, do I need to hold those and just put something inserted here, you know, because we have to tape this on Friday, sometimes sooner because of the road and things like that and scheduling. But football games obviously happen right before this episode comes out, so I would like to have up-to-date things. So I'm debating in my head. Give me some feedback, joshpottershow@gmail.com, or put something in the comments, or rate, review, and all that kind of crap, and let me know, should I do something like that? Should we throw it to a segment where I give like a more of an up-to-date take on what happened this past week? Like, because, hey, I'd love to talk about Zach Wilson. Who knows what he's done here in what will be considered week 3. I don't know who the Jets are playing. Can you check for me real quick, Kirsten, who the Jets are playing this Sunday? But this past week, as of this taping, he played the Patriots. And there we got to see Mac Jones, the astronaut, play against the Mormon boy, Zach Wilson. That's right, rookie football in the AFC East, and boy, oh boy, is it exciting. What does it say that they're playing?
They will be playing the Denver Broncos.
The Denver Broncos. So Zach Wilson, if he has a rebound week, it will happen against the Denver Broncos. I'm going to put that caveat on things. But the Mormon boy played the astronaut this past week, and oh boy, I don't know if those New York City horrors are already infiltrating Zach Wilson's little brain, his little Mormon brain, but good golly, 4 interceptions. At one point, he had, I think, just 2 pass attempts and 2 interceptions. I mean, it was just abysmal. One of the worst performances that we have seen. But many people like to bring up, oh, remember when Peyton Manning's rookie year? He had terrible games, blah, blah, blah. I get that. There's still time. But when you see what's going on with Sam Darnold in Carolina and what has happened to every quarterback ever on the New York Jets, I mean, what a wild, wild thing. I love it personally as a Bills fan. The Jets can just always suck forever, and I don't mind that whatsoever. But 4 interceptions for our little Mormon boy. Maybe his mom being on Instagram is starting to get to him even more. You got to expect that the defenders are talking all kinds of wild shit about his mom. I saw your mom's Instagram sliding at DMs. And then he's like, okay, I need a hut hike. And then he throws a fucking pick. I love it. Keep it up out there. Now, I don't like the Patriots winning, obviously. If it was against another team, I would be even more ecstatic. It obviously happened against the Patriots, so I'm like, ugh. But, such is. We have to take small victories where we can, and I can't wait for Josh Allen to play the Patriots so we can see what's going on in that section. Also, the Jets. I'd love to see our defense just murder this little Mormon boy. But we'll get to that down as the season goes. We'll get more into it. And like I said, if that's something that interests you, I don't like talking about things that are then dated by the time this comes out. But, I had to bring up Zach Wilson and his ongoing corruption. I can't wait to find out. Does Zach Wilson have a girlfriend, Kirsten? Can you Google that for me real quick before we get to this video? Because someone had a rough call. I'm sure you saw it by this point. But the Vikings, of course, played the Arizona Cardinals in a very close game this past week. And my God, something wild happened. What does it say here for girlfriend? I can't read it. So
it actually says here that Zach Wilson's girlfriend has stuck by him since high school.
Of course, they're Mormons. They're probably already married, and they definitely haven't had sex. Does it say anything about his virginity in there? Ooh, there they are. Can you go back up? I can't really see because I'm blind, but she looks pretty enough or whatever. She's probably very pretty. They look like Disney Channel. That's the thing. You can't have your quarterback look like he's on the Disney Channel. I just don't like that at all. That's why he just screams bust to me. There they are again. They're definitely virgies. I wanted to say something about that. Like one of the bylines on the top of the paragraphs, like, of course they have saved themselves. Look at the bottom. The ads is for monogamy. What is that, a TV show? Or is that just this site where it's like Christianity, Mormon stuff? Look at them. They're very pretty. But let's play this video because the Vikings announcer, oh boy, Adam Boyer sent this to me. Here it is. You see the Arizona Cardinals are up 34-33 on the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings making a crucial field goal attempt in order to try and get the lead, get the W here, and let's see what happens here. Let's hear. I forget who's on the call.
It is good! No, he missed it. Good. Are you kidding me, Mr. Right?
So rewind it real quick, Kirsten. Let's play it again because if you didn't hear that, if you were listening on the audio, the man goes, "It's good!" I wish I had a name here. Let's see who the Vikings announcer is. Oh, shit. Can you Google it real quick, Kirsten? Because awesome. I forgot I turned my phone into airplane mode. But yes, the kicker, Joseph, kicks it. The announcer goes, "It's good!" He's so pumped to be like, get this play call. This is going on is real. It's going to be played on ESPN. It's going to be at Monday morning. People are going to be waking up, turning on their television sets, and that is going to be the call because it is the game of the day. What a comeback from the Vikings, back and forth, bop. This is all going through the man's head.
So it looks like here that the Vikings radio play-by-play announcer is Paul Allen.
Paul Allen. And yes, so that's who this was, Paul Allen. And so he's so psyched. They're going to have him all over highlights everywhere for the next week. It's good! The only problem is it wasn't good. It was very clearly far right. You saw it if you're watching the video on YouTube. Let's watch it one more time.
It is good! No, he missed it. Good. Are you kidding me, Mr. Right? He missed it right. Oh, my heavens.
He missed it right. They're like telling him, and he goes, "Are you kidding me?" He missed it right. Why did he say, I mean, I get being excited. That is like a true, he was just feeling it. His dick was so hard in that moment that he got to call that game-winning field goal that he lost his faculties as a broadcaster, and he didn't describe what was going on. The kick was up and it was good. God, I got to get just that sound bite because every time I fuck up, then I'll be like, it's good. You know what I mean? That's a total, God, I don't think I've seen one that bad in many a moon. But if you have any recollection of any others, I'd love to have them. Send them on in, joshpottershow@gmail.com. Let us get to the news, shall we? What do you say? I say yes. And yes, we have to discuss the topic of the month, it seems. What with, September 11th having its 20th anniversary, terrorism the top of mind. All the goings on in Afghanistan, America pulling out, the Taliban jumping in. We do have a story about the Taliban coming up here, some actual terrorism. But first, we must discuss some semen terrorism once again. Again, last week, the first 37 minutes were about the semen terrorists. And what I'm doing, you see, is bringing awareness. I'm raising awareness, if you will. Somebody was like, I can't believe you talked about semen terrorism for 30 seconds. Yeah, I did. I can't believe it either. That's what we have to do to make it more known. Then so be it, friend. But I'm not going to talk about it for that long of time, but I do have to get to some emails that you've sent in. JoshPotterShow@gmail.com once again.
I don't care about that, not a fig.
Hey, Roach Daddy. In Vienna, Virginia, around 2010, the night manager at a Cold Stone was jerking off onto the cold marble slabs that they make ice cream on. I had a friend who worked there at the time and said some of the staff had walked in on it before but never reported it. He eventually got caught on surveillance and was fired/arrested. That from Jackson Cole. Jackson Cole worked at Cold Stone Creamery. I thought for a second, I read it quickly and I thought it was cold. I was like, is this Mr. Cold Stone sending this in? But isn't that wild that the staff had walked in on it before but never reported it? Why? That is something that happens. I remember there was, at this radio station, not one that I worked at, but one that I had friends that worked at, and I'd go see what's up every now and then when I was in town. They would talk about this guy who was like an overnight guy who would just jerk off in the studio, and people have walked it, promotions people would walk in when they're going to hang up the keys in the studio and stuff for the vans and shit. They'd walk in and the guy would be like, oh, and they'd be like, was he just jerking off? And no one said a word, not a one word here or there, until the program director walked in on him jerking off, and then he was very fired at that point. And I think that's what occurred with this Cold Stone thing. It's like, if you catch someone jerking off, I guess I can understand wanting it to be a definitive. He was definitely jerking off, because you don't want to confuse something for that, I remember somebody was saying, they were like, I think my Uber driver's jerking off. I forget who it was. It was on Instagram Live. And then it might not have been, it turned out, but it was it made them into some hot water because they had accused someone of masturbating when they most definitely weren't. So I can understand maybe because you don't expect to find somebody in that type of context jizzing onto the cold stone slabs. What are those things again? Those slabs. Have you eaten there in a recent time, Kirsten? I haven't had Cold Stone since I was a child.
I've been there a few times.
And they put the ice cream onto these things and they smush it for some reason. What is the purpose of it? Do you know?
I think it just chops. I think it's just to blend all the ingredients up and stuff.
Oh, because they're putting in the fruits and things?
Yeah, they're mashing your cookies and your graham crackers up in there. But maybe he's just trying to market this as a dairy-free option.
That could very well. Hey, if he's trying to get jizz into the ice cream, as you said, you have to mash up all the ingredients in there. You got to put it on something, right?
You definitely have to blend the nuts.
Yeah, there you go. I have another one here. This one is from Bernie Mac, not the deceased comedian. I don't want you to think that he's emailing joshpottershow@gmail.com from beyond the grave. Different spelling on this one, and I'd imagine it is a nom de plume, because wait till you hear this email. Dear Josh, I was listening to one of your recent episodes where the topic of semen terrorism was brought up. At first I laughed and thought, oh my God, what a thing. That's a thing? But as the discussion went on, I realized, oh my God, I am guilty of this. And I laughed even harder. Okay, Pally. When and why, you ask? Well, last year my girlfriend was acting up, thinking she can get away with some shit, and I wanted to retaliate. So after a nice long chat with myself, scheming my revenge, I somehow arrived to the conclusion I'm going to bust a nut on her pillow, let it dry, and not say shit until she notices. This is your girlfriend that you've done this to. Man, oh man. Well, my friend, I came all over that pillow, and not just any pillow, but her pillow with this special pillowcase made out of real silk that's supposed to be way better for your skin and shit. Bro, the silk was legit. I had to put that skeet in front of a fan for it to dry, and it took all damn day, but nevertheless, the stage was set, and her pillow was now crusty and ready for bed. However, when it came time for bed, you know what happened? She didn't even notice it. Also, like, this is your girlfriend. So, like, she's had your jizz in her face, on her mouth, like, I don't know, on her forehead, I don't know your relations, but I'd imagine your jizz it's just kind of like a dick thing to do. It's not even, like, that gross for her. She's not going to be like, oh, my God. Like, if you got your friend Matt's jizz and put it on her pillow, then she would probably be horrified, and you'd probably be broken up. But I would imagine she's like, oh, your jizz is on my pillow? Your jizz is always on my pillow. You know, like, I've fallen asleep with your jizz on my sheets, on my face, and my hair. It's your girlfriend. This isn't like, I don't know, some rando who would be... I don't understand the motive behind this, to do this to your girlfriend. I guess you did say that she was pissing him off, but I would, I don't know. This is more of like a fun little prank, I guess. I don't know. Would you be disgusted if your husband did this to you, Kirsten? I mean, you would just be probably annoyed, but it's not like you're like...
I'd be concerned that you're really taking time out of your day to plot that.
Right? It's very bizarre. And I'm still trying to get to I wonder what she did, really. She didn't even notice, though, so of course she didn't. So I waited about a week. Still didn't notice, evidently. I couldn't believe it. At first, I was getting annoyed, but then I quickly realized the simple solution. I just got to do it again. Oh, of course. That was the first thing I thought of, too. Just do it one more time. So I did, and now with the surface area of my swimmers doubled in size, I knew for sure she'd notice, and should I be wrong again on this? Well, we already came up with our solution for that. I mean, I was ready to just coat the whole pillow one day at a time. Regardless, after the second time that night, she did notice. All inquisitive, she asked out loud, "What the hell is all over my pillow? It's too crusty to be drool. Did you spill something?" she asked. As the biggest grin took over my face, I replied, "I did spill something on your pillow." And then she asked what it was, and he said, "My fucking jizz." I don't know, I read that like dice. "My fucking jizz." I hope that's how he said it too. As I proceeded to laugh maniacally, she was totally in shock, asked why, and then I made my case. Overall, complete honesty. I don't even remember what we were arguing about. Of course not. All he remembers was that he jizzed on her pillow. But I can tell you that I won. Cut to a year later, and I'm picking up her engagement ring today. Look at that. It really turned the corner. I thought, this is a doomed relationship. This man is mentally incapacitated, or just mentally not all there. But here we are, engagement ring. I wonder if she said yes. So I can firmly say, terrorist or not, this nut slut did no wrong, and we are as strong as ever. Thanks for the laughs. Keep banging, Bernie Mac. What a story. You know, it went one way and it came back around, and now they are getting married. Well, I don't know. He bought the engagement ring. Not sure if they're going to be getting married or not. You ever pull into the driveway after a trip to the grocery store and go, damn it, because you forgot something? The best thing about DoorDash is if you forget something, you just call them again and get it again. I've done that many a time. There have been days that I have DoorDashed 4 times. Not for the same things. No, because there's such a selection. You can get whatever restaurant that you could be craving. I mean, there's something for everyone on DoorDash as far as restaurants go. Some of the best ones in your city. There's groceries on DoorDash, items of convenience, drinks. DoorDash does it all, my friend. And it brings it right to your door in like an hour or less. I mean, it's crazy, my friend. You can get dinner, you can get household essentials, everything on the grocery list, all delivered to you. And we've been busy. I mean, post-COVID or post-quarantine, people are going back out again. People are doing things again. And it's actually been kind of crazy. My brain has been scattered, and I've been forgetting to go to the store and getting some things. Thank the Lord for DoorDash, my friends. They have over 300,000 partners. You can support your neighborhood go-tos, or you can choose from your favorite national restaurant chains like Popeyes, Chipotle, and Cheesecake Factory. And ordering is super easy. And for a limited time, my listeners are able to get 25% off and 0 delivery fees on their first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter code JOSH. That's 25% off up to $10 value and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the old app store there, and you enter code JOSH. One more time, don't forget that's code JOSH for 25% off your first order with DoorDash. Subject to change. Terms apply. The Josh Potter Show also brought to us today by Liquid IV. And I've been throwing them back a little bit more lately because I'm back out on the road. Yes. But thanks to Liquid IV, the next day's flights or the next morning having to do radio or something hasn't been taxing. No, it's been very actually enjoyable. And Liquid IV, I just put one of the sticks in a bottle of water the next morning after I've been pounding a few back, pound that guy back, and wham bam, thank you ma'am, I am back at it. Maybe you're not a booze bag like me and you just need a little more hydration in your life. That's something Liquid IV can help with too, and especially with the cooler weather approaching, it makes it even easier to miss signs of dehydration like overheating or of course there's perspiration, which means it's even more difficult to, or important, to keep your body properly hydrated. It's difficult to do it as well. And thanks to Liquid IV, they're making it super, super easy. 1 stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates faster and more efficiently than water alone. Not only that, but the product tastes great with flavors like watermelon, my personal favorite, the strawberry. There's also lemon lime and many other flavors. So are you going to be enjoying a few extra drinks this holiday season? The holiday season is approaching. Liquid IV might make your life a little easier as well. So grab your favorite Liquid IV flavors nationwide at Walmart, or you can get 25% off when you go to liquidiv.com. Use code JOSH at checkout. That's 25% off anything on their site. Anything that you order. When you get better hydration today using promo code JOSH at liquidiv.com. So there we go. Semen terrorism is alive and well. Oh, we got another one. This one comes with an article, though. And again, I said I'm trying to get through it quickly so I don't talk about it for an entirety of the show. But this is the last moment before I get into a story that's about real terrorists, the Taliban indeed. And this is kind of an interesting one. The Taliban it's woeful. We'll get into it in a moment. So this one comes to us with an article. It says, "Hey Josh, love the show. This is an old story, but it is the most aggressive jihad I have ever heard about." This is from Barry Dillman. A North Carolina dentist accused of putting semen into the mouths of 6 female patients. This will make you not want to fucking go. The dentists are fucking scoundrels, I will say. I mean, how many dentists, they put the gas on you, then you wake up and your dick's in a different position or something like that. I haven't had this occur, but you hear about these things on Dateline and things like that. Dentists are menaces, it seems. Oh, sure, go to sleep. We'll work on your teeth. You wake up and your fucking asshole's on fire. You don't know why. You're like, what's going on? Why am I face down on this chair all of a sudden? But this one, putting semen into the mouths of 6 female patients. Maybe he was really like thinking, he really subscribed to the thought that semen whitens your teeth. He was like that 5th dentist that was like, not Colgate, semen. The panel revoked the license of Dr. John Hall, 43 of Cornelius. Patients testified that Hall squirted a foul-tasting substance from a syringe into their mouths. A 7th testified Hall jumped on her in the dental chair and gyrated against her lower body in a sexual manner. I am extremely disappointed with the board's decision, as I have vehemently maintained ever since I became aware of these bizarre and sensational allegations against me. I have not done what I have been accused of, Hall said in a statement issued by his lawyers. One of you was like, my semen tastes great. It's not foul tasting. That's how I knew right away that these women were out of their minds. I eat pineapple every day. He went on to say, I am going to continue to fight these allegations against me by whatever means necessary and by whatever legal avenues are available to me. Accusations against Hall became public in November after several employees said they had become suspicious of his behaviors. You know, I saw him jizzing into a cup and then taking it out with a syringe, thought that was suspicious. Like, what were the suspicious behaviors? He thought that he could straighten her teeth by humping her vagina dry humping it on the chair. I thought that was an odd tactic, but you're the doctor. I mean, this is, again, people not raising awareness like the Cold Stone employees. They collected 5 syringes from his office and had asked a veterinarian to test the contents. Interesting choice. Can a veterinarian, can they identify semen better than a person, doctor? Interesting. Maybe dentists just have it against doctors so much. They're like, I'm a doctor. It's like, you're a dentist. And then they're like, fuck you, doctors. We're not even going to use your skills. We're going to go to veterinarians to find out about semen. Turned out that the employees contacted police afterwards, after they found out it was fucking jizz. They searched Hall's office and found more syringes containing similar materials. DNA tests showed it was indeed Hall's semen. Hall denied injecting semen into the patient's mouths. He said he was collecting the semen in the syringes because he was tracking the side effects of Propecia, which, of course, is a hair growth drug. So that's a great doctor thing. When you're a doctor, you can come up with all sorts of excuses for why you're doing wild shit. Oh, I was doing an experiment. I was studying something. Interesting. They weren't buying it, however. Potential side effects include low sperm count, by the way, for the Propecia. That's why he was really thinking about this one. Hall said he collected his semen after hours in an office bathroom because he didn't want to do so at home. What the fuck? That's where he went off the rails. The Propecia thing, people were like, oh. And then he was like, and I had to do it at the office because I didn't want to do it at home. He said to plan to take the vials to his doctor, and that is that. Yeah. I didn't want to jerk off in my privacy of my home. I wanted to do it after hours at work, you know. Duh, don't you, officer? Wild. But there we have it. Another semen terrorist behind bars. So thank you to all the first responders, all the people in our Homeland Security for catching that dentist and putting him behind bars. Next up in the news, we have a man who is hospitalized. We talked about this last week. We talked about a tilapia, I believe it was, which is a odd-shaped fish to put in your ass. But lots of stories coming in about ass stuff. And this case right here, man was hospitalized after his boyfriend's fist got stuck in his anus. What are we looking at here, Kirsten? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just looking up the shape of a tilapia.
Oh, pull it up. Let's see. Pull it up while I go through this. So, yes. But someone was saying that the fins are in a weird way, weirdly shaped. So it's like putting it up there, you have no chance of getting it. Like, see how it's like, those fins are like, once they could probably go in good, but coming out, it's going to be like, yay. And it looks sharp. I mean, that is a big fish, too. I guess, like, the one that's on the bottom there left is probably more... Yeah, that one is probably easier to put inside of your ass than that one in the top right.
Yeah, I would say maybe just start with a goldfish.
Yeah, goldfish is really tiny, though. Like, I saw another story, I don't know if it's in this pile, about an eel got stuck in a guy's ass. Did we talk about that? I don't even remember.
Yeah, that's prepped in there, too.
Oh. It's in here someplace. I can't wait. I should put them together, you know? Here it is right here. Eel. The eel story. Let's bring this guy out, too. We're all over the board here, but boom. I mean, this one right here is about two gay dudes fisting. And this one is about an eel insertion in, you guessed it, China. So, I mean, this is more of the same. People who are repressed, putting shit into their ass, and getting caught, and going to the hospital. So that's kind of an eel. Can we look up what an eel? I mean, let's see if this has a specific eel. This man obviously put the eel in his asshole and got stuck in his anus, but he said it was in hopes of relieving constipation. I bet, friend. Isn't that one? Doesn't just plain old anal sex relieve constipation? Isn't that what motivated the man to do so? Is a folk remedy apparently that says an eel can help with the bowel movements, but instead of curing the constipation, the eel went from the man's rectum to the colon and bit through it. Maybe you should put the eel tail first, eh? Not head first with its teeth. Golly, it's like snake in the drain. The eel was still alive by the time it was removed during the operation. The man is not the only victim of this folk remedy that says inserting eels into the rectum can cure constipation. A 50-year-old man in South China. It's only happening in China, by the way. I get it. It's maybe a Chinese remedy for not only relieving constipation, but coming as well, probably. All these things just draining you. Poor guy. Yeah, I would say if you're listening in China somehow, if you can do that, I don't even know if that's possible, I'd say put the eels in tail first, not mouth first next time. But this man, having some gay fisting action, got his fist stuck in another man's anus. I've done a fisting, never in a butt. I know some people who have done that to themselves and who have, they do this for their profession, these types of things. But I'll admit it, this is a very small, like people have commented on how small my hands are. You can make fun of them all you want. Prime for fisting. So, yeah, now who's the asshole? Make fun of my small hands some more. Jerk. But this gentleman, I don't know how big, let's see if we can find out what the deal with his hands are, if they're big or small, but he was unable to release the man's hand from his anal cavity. Both men were transported by ambulance. That's funny. Obviously, one guy definitely needs the ambulance, and the other guy's just kind of along for the ride, just sitting in the ambulance like this. You know? And that other guy's like laying down on a bed, face down probably, while the other guy's like, yeah, you want to get Chipotle after this? Anyhow, that's how you relieve constipation. The couple firmly believes that had they used lubricant, the trip to the hospital could have been avoided. Well, I think that is, the sky is blue. I mean, obviously, use some lubricant if you're going to be fisting out there. How fucking loose is this dude's asshole that he's just dry fisting himself? I mean, Jesus Christ, brah. Is that even enjoyable, pal? Are you trying to relieve some constipation, or was this for sex? Because that doesn't seem very fun. Of course, once they were transported to the hospital, the staff successfully released the man's hand only 14 hours later. Only 14 hours later. So that guy had his hand in another man's ass for 14 hours. Wild. Do you think he was jerking off the whole time? I mean, this is a dream for some people. My hand was in his ass for 14 hours. All the erections I had. There was the surgery was a complicated task due to heavy inflammation, blood loss, and risk of laceration, say doctors. I wonder how much blood loss there was. Jesus Lord. I mean, this guy had his hand in another man's ass. Do you think he was thrashing around in there? That's why it was getting all fucked up. I mean, if you're putting your hand in someone's ass, be gentle, especially if it gets stuck. I just talked to my mom on the phone, and she told me that she had felt the same thing when I was in labor. This man admitted. My mom was really supportive through this whole ordeal. Oh my God, the poor mother. What if should I call my mom right now and say I got my hand stuck in another man's ass and see how she reacts? She would lose her fucking gourd. Not because it was gay. I don't even think she would react. She would be like, okay. We're not going to do that. I don't want her to even know that I'm talking about this. I usually use Crisco or vegetable oil, the man said. But we were out of everything. And if you're out of everything, Lord knows, a little spit and you're on your way. That's probably what they did here. It was definitely not our lucky day, they admitted, visibly amused by the media attention. Matt is a real hero. He handled the pain like a real soldier. The hospital staff was awesome, and they found me a bed so I could sleep a few hours through the procedure while he was waiting for his hand to be freed. Oh, boy. Although Cummings admits his handballing days aren't necessarily over. That's what they call it, handballing. That's fun. That's a new word for fisting. They call it handballing. God, the gay community is really special. They're not over. He hopes that others in the fisting community will pay heed to this incident and use the proper lubricants to safely enjoy the practice. Well, if that's something you can't take away from the show, then I don't know what is. If you're going to fist, use some lube. I mean, use lots of it. Like I said, I have the dainty hands. I've done the fit. And by the way, this isn't fisting. You have to go in like this. All right? And then once you're in there, then you can make a fist because it's all crunched up. And then you're good to go. I was actually kind of scared. I was stuck for a second. And I was like, thinking about too, I'm like, what if I just was like, I don't know, I've shared this on, my mom one time told me a story of a deer jumping through person she knew's windshield, feet first, while it was driving. And then everyone was like, oh, an accident. And then when the deer and everyone came to, the deer thrashed and destroyed the people, like smashed their faces in with its hooves. When you're fisting, there's this weird, like you're in, and there's this weird like power you have where you're like, if I started thrashing like that deer, I could really fuck this chick up. You know what I mean? You just have these like moments. You're like, I have to be very careful and very, very gentle and just very still, stoic almost. So heed all this advice if you're going to get into some handballing action out there. But yes, the Taliban is in the news. Taliban fighters worry they missed their martyrdom opportunity. Could you imagine being a disillusioned Taliban fighter out there right now? I mean, the Taliban having their big comeback, but it's not the same. There's something just missing. And I bet all the old Taliban guys are like, oh, you should have seen back in the day. 20 years ago, we were top of the world. With troops withdrawn from Afghanistan and the Taliban's ensuing rule, some aspiring martyrs are said to be struggling to adjust to their lives maintaining power as opposed to fighting for it. The Washington Post spoke to Commander Abdul Rahman Nafiz about the 250 fighters under his watch. All of my men, they love jihad and fighting. Who doesn't, right? So when they came to Kabul, they didn't feel comfortable. There just isn't enough fighting anymore. That's just such a loser mentality to just be like, you know what I miss? The struggle. There are comics like that where they're like, I'm not sleeping in my car anymore. And they just like, I don't know. They're fearful of success, things like that. That's what the Taliban is. They're having a bit of imposter syndrome at the moment. The day-to-day lives of fighters has changed compared to the last few months. Oh, there's less death? Oh, that sounds so terrible. When they were in considerably more active combat, like attacking foreign convoys and outposts, now reports of violence from the capital seem to revolve around women and protesters against the new administration. Women specifically. That's what they're really taking their fucking... And so I guess it's just gotten lame to be in the Taliban. That's what they're like, oh, remember the good old days when we used to blow up convoys and stuff? Now I just got to punch women. This blows. And it does blow. Militants inspect cars. They control checkpoints. Apparently, some enjoy time in the sun, evidently. I mean, if you live in Afghanistan, you better enjoy time in the sun because not a lot of shade from what I've seen, pictures and such. A Badri commander who didn't further identify himself explained martyrdom seekers have different skills. Some were trained to use vest bombs, others in car bombs or targeted killings, and some were frontline fighters leading operations. Many of my fighters are worried that they missed their chance at martyrdom or in the war. I tell them they need to relax. They still have a chance to become martyrs, but this adjustment will take time. According to the Post, some fighters believe the war with the U.S. was sanctioned by God, and it chartered a clear path to paradise in the afterlife. That's why we're never going to win against these people, because they're like, you know what sucked? The fact that the war's over, even though we were getting just bombed into the Stone Age. Man, I miss that. You can't defeat that mentality. That's why we got to go over there with some whores and some booze, some weed maybe. I mean, they got that Afghani kush, so they probably got weed. But we need to do something. We got to give them some taste of the red, white, and blue, so all they want to do is get fat and jerk off and get this martyrdom nonsense out of their head. You want to stick around so you can go eat McDonald's. That's America, baby. That's why we have to go. We've tried so hard to imperialize our democracy, and that's why. Because we need to get people to stop thinking this way. But either way, they let them have their fun, I guess. Our new work is different. It's huge. Our new work is different. Now we're just beating up women and being real terrible. Even more terrible than before. It's a huge change, but day to day, everyone is becoming more experienced, and because of that, we are changing, the commander said. Wild. Thank God we have left there. And, sucks for the people that still live there and wanted cool shit. That's really the moral of the story. Another story here. This is a little more lighthearted, thankfully. I don't even know if I want... There's so many stories here. I've really gone overboard because, like I said, Kirsten, I had just a tremendous headache. I'm like, I don't know if any of these are good. This is fun. If you are ever wanting to live where El Chapo lived, you can now buy his safe house. Well, not buy his safe house. It's not buying it, but it is going to just be given to somebody. Mexico's holding like a lottery, which, by the way, if you sold this after you won it, it would be equivalent to winning the lottery. You could sell this for a great deal of money. The house of the former drug kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman fled in 2014 when Mexican Marines had him surrounded. We all know this. He underwent some the house, though, underwent some changes recently as the Mexican government prepared to give it away in a national lottery. I don't know if that's such a good idea, though, also, by the way, because some poor sucker's going to win a national lottery, and then El Chapo's going to, or somebody who is affiliated with El Chapo, I should say, is going to come wanting that house back, I feel like. You're just putting a target on your back. It's almost like Mexico's like, hey, let's just give this away to some poor sucker. It's almost like a Russian roulette more than it is winning a lottery. The surveillance cameras that covered every angle of the modest home's exterior were removed. You should probably have kept those. And the hole under the bathtub that El Chapo had slipped through to reach a network of tunnels was covered with a concrete slab. That's a shame, too. That would be what I would want it most of all. Let's go play in the tunnels. But this probably prevents a parasite situation, so that's probably for the best in the end of the day. In recent weeks, Mexico's Institute to Return Stolen Goods to the People, known by its initials as INDEP, that is a government society or a government entity in Mexico. The Institute to Return Stolen Goods to the People. Man, oh man. It gave a fresh coat of white paint to the inside and out of the home of El Chapo. Put that concrete over the spot of the bathtub where the tub and tunnel entry point had been. And the president had been talking up the lottery of the seized properties, but gave no mention to the history of this particular house. So he was like, we have a beautiful house here. It is just palatial. We've put some new paint on it. We've done some work in the bathroom. Made no reference to the fact that it used to be El Chapo's. So maybe the people who are receiving it in the lottery have no idea. And they're just poor suckers. They're like, look at the sweet house we just got. And then people are like, well, why was the reason INDEP were giving that away in a lottery? They're like, I don't know. I didn't ask. Turns out it's fucking El Chapo's house, and now you got to deal with a fucking war coming at you. They only list it as Casa en Culiacan. I guess I don't know how to say that. Culiacan. Casa en Culiacan. So it's like house in some place. It's about 2,800 square feet and located in a neighborhood called Liberated or Freedom. The government values the two-bedroom home at $183,000. That's it. I guess it's a two-bedroom home. But they tried to auction off the home last year. It started the bidding around $130,000, but there were no takers because some people knew, I'm going to die if I live there. Why would I pay $130,000 to just have a target on my back? This traffic is very important, and I call on all the people, those who can help buying a ticket or two or three. So they're just really trying to get people to buy these lottery tickets so they can get the house out there. In downtown Mexico City, lottery ticket vendors said sales have been good. Jorge Lopez said he's been selling 100 to 120 of the $12 tickets since last week. Right now, it's selling very well. He said the value of the 22 prizes, many well above that of the house in Culiacan, is drawing attention too. Some people ask about whose the properties were previous, but not many. So some people are going in there going smart. They're like, well, which one was this one? Okay, I can tolerate that. Some people are like, wait, this was El Chapo's? I'm not going to be bidding on that one. So it's kind of an interesting lottery. I'm curious more of the prizes. I would like to find more. I'm going to do some research on the INDEP myself. But next week I have something very exciting planned. And beyond that, I have something very exciting planned for 2 episodes from now. We were mentioning last week the new Mets documentary. If you haven't watched it, I'm giving you plenty of time. As the playoffs start for baseball, I'm going to have one of the more elite Met fans in the world on for a segment of this program to discuss that documentary and discuss the state of the Mets. I don't believe they are going to be in the playoffs, even though I gave all my fandom to them. I don't believe it's going to happen for them this season, so we'll find out from this guest, and I'll let you know. I'll tease it more down the road. But other than that, friends, thank you for joining us for another episode of The Josh Potter Show. I appreciate it a great deal. Remember to go onto my Instagram, which is at Josh_Potter, or onto my Twitter at J_Potter. And make sure you check out tickets to go see a live show. Hopefully you won't be as mortified as that Karen from the beginning, a Karen who I dealt with in person. So hopefully I can see you out again this Thursday, September 30th, Washington, D.C. Going to be at the D.C. Improv. And then beyond that, I'm going to be on the road with Tom for just a little bit in October. And in November, I'm going to be at my home club, Helium Comedy Club, where that video took place. And I'm going to be there Thanksgiving weekend, November 26th, 27th, and 28th. And like I said, got some dates already for 2022 I'm going to be announcing very soon up in the Northeast. Keep your eyes peeled to the Instagram at Josh_Potter and the Twitter at J_Potter for all of that. My Twitch will be back up and running very soon. Had some PlayStation issues, so got those fixed, but we'll be back streaming once again, twitch.tv/Josh_Potter. Other than that, thank you for rating and reviewing and subscribing. If you're an audio listener, if you're a YouTube viewer, please hit subscribe, hit that bell, and leave a comment and all that. Give a thumbs up, and we will see you next Tuesday on The Josh Potter Show.